Let us begin the class. Before starting the class, let me acknowledge that I am using the syllabus prescribed by Department of Pre-University Education for this bridge course. I am also using the slides from the website of Department of Pre-University Education, that is pue.kar.nic.in. The study material of this course can also be downloaded from the same website. So today I will take physics class. In the next video I will do class on mathematics. Okay. So in physics, first I will take first topic, that is mathematical tools. You may be wondering why this mathematics in physics. Dear students, remember one thing, there is no physics without mathematics. Physics and mathematics are inseparable. You cannot understand physics without the basic knowledge of mathematics. Because mathematics is a tool for learning the physics. What is a tool? You know that tool means it is a device which makes any work easier. So here mathematics makes learning or development of physics easier. Therefore mathematics is called tool of a physics. Sometimes it is also called language of physics, as we use language to express our emotions, feelings and to communicate. In the same way, mathematics is used to better explain the concepts of physics. That is why mathematics is also called the language of physics. So in today's class we will discuss some important concepts of mathematics which are useful in physics, especially for our syllabus, 11th and 12th standard syllabus, which mathematical concepts are important, that we will discuss today. Mathematics is the tool of physics. A good knowledge and applications of fundamentals of mathematics helps in understanding the physical phenomena and their applications. Okay, so in today's class, first we will discuss about quadratic equations. What do you mean by quadratic equation? ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ವರ್ಗ ಸಮೀಕರಣಗಳು ಅಂತೀವಿ. Already you have learnt about these quadratic equations in your class 10th. Okay, so let me revise it once again. A quadratic equation is one which is in the form of ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0. An equation in the form ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0, where a, b and c are constants, is called a quadratic equation in x. Here a, b and c are constants, but one condition, here the constant a should not be equal to 0. If the constant a becomes equal to 0, then this term vanishes. This x square term vanishes, then we remain with only bx plus c. Now it is no more quadratic equation, now it becomes a linear equation. Therefore the condition is this a should not be equal to 0. b may be 0, c may be 0, but a should not be 0. The x square term must be there in the equation, then only it is called quadratic equation. There are three methods of solving this quadratic equation. Solving the equation means finding the value of x satisfying this equation. The values of x satisfying this equation are called solutions of the equations, or they are also called roots of the equation. Okay, so there are three methods of solving this equation, or finding the solutions of this equation, or finding the roots of this equation. The first method is factorization method. So let us take one example here. X square minus 5x plus 6 equal to 0. It is a quadratic equation, x square minus 5x plus 6 equal to 0. We factorize this x square minus 5x plus 6. So the factors of this x square minus 5x plus 6 are x minus 3 and x minus 2. Therefore we write x minus 3 into x minus 2 equal to 0. I hope you know how to find factors. Otherwise, I will tell you. See, to find the factors of this equation, what we do, we split the middle term, that is minus 5, into two numbers, such that the sum of the two numbers is minus 5 and the product of the two numbers is plus 6. So can you find out which are those two numbers? Yes, exactly. Minus 3 and minus 2. The sum of minus 3 and minus 2 is 5 and the product of minus 3 and minus 2 is 6. So we write this equation as x square minus 3x minus 2x plus 6 equal to 0. Then we consider first two terms and last two terms. In the first two terms, we can take x common, then it becomes x minus 3. Here minus, then in the last two terms, we can take minus 2 common, then we get x minus 3 equal to 0. Next, in these two terms, this term and this term, x minus 3 can be taken as common. So in the first term, if we take x minus 3 common, then what remains here? X remains. In the next term, if we take x minus 3 common, then here minus 2 remains. So x minus 3 into x minus 2 is equal to 0. This is how we find the factors. X minus 3 and x minus 2 are the factors of x square minus 5x plus 6. Okay, after writing this, here x minus 3 into x minus 2 is equal to 0. That means out of these two, any one must be 0. Then only their product becomes 0. Here either x minus 3 must be 0 or x minus 2 must be 0. There are two possibilities. Therefore, we write x minus 3 equal to 0 or x minus 2 equal to 0. If x minus 3 equal to 0, then we send this minus 3 to right hand side, then it becomes x equal to 0 plus 3 or x equal to 3. This is one value. And if you take x minus 2 equal to 0, then this minus 2, when it goes to the other side, it becomes plus 2. Therefore, x is equal to plus 2. So if you put the value of x as 3 in this equation, then this equation will be satisfied. That means, let us see here. If I put x equal to 3 here, 3 square is 9. 9 minus 5 into 3, 15. 9 minus 15 plus 6. So 9 plus 6 is 15 and this minus 15. So equal to 0. Similarly, if you put x equal to 2, then what happens? 2 square, 4. And here if you put 2, then it is minus 10. And here it is 6. So 4 plus 6, 10. And this minus 10 becomes equal to 0. So in this way, if we put the value of x as 3 or 2, that equation is satisfied. Therefore, here x equal to 3 and x equal to 2 are called the solutions of this equation or roots of this equation. Okay, the values of x which satisfy this equation are called solutions of this equation or roots of this equation. This is the first method to find the roots or solution of a quadratic equation. Now let us see the second method. The second method is using the formula. If ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0 is the quadratic equation, then the value of x can be determined using the formula x equal to minus b square root of x equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. Here minus b is or b is coefficient of x, a is coefficient of x square and c is constant term. So this way you remember this. A is the coefficient of x square, b is coefficient of x and c is constant term. So by substituting these values in this equation, we get the solution or values of x. So let us take one example here, or you can take the previous example only. What was the previous example? The previous example was x square minus x square minus 5x plus 6 equal to 0. So here what is the coefficient of x square? Here nothing is there, means it is 1. So coefficient of x square is 1. That means a is equal to 1. Then coefficient of b is minus 5. Sorry, coefficient of x is minus 5. Therefore we can write b is equal to minus 5. Next, the constant term is 6. Therefore we write c is equal to 6. If you substitute these values here, you will get the value of x as 3 or 2. You will get the same answer. Okay, you can try it. Okay, you take it as an assignment. You try it. You solve this equation x square minus 5x plus 6 equal to 0 using this formula. It is very important formula. Please remember this. Okay, so here one more example is given. X square plus 6x plus 3 is equal to 0. So here what is the coefficient of x square? 1. So we take it as a. What is the coefficient of x here? 6. So we take b equal to 6. Then which is the constant term here? 3. So we write c is equal to 3. If you substitute these values in the equation, x equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac, and if you simplify, you will get the values of x. You can see here all ABC values are substituted and it is simplified. Then finally you will get x equal to minus 3 plus or minus 6. That means you can take x equal to minus 3 minus root 6 or x equal to minus 3 and plus root 6. Remember, here always we get two values for the x. Number of solutions of any equation is equal to order of the equation. Here it is order of the equation means highest power in the equation. See, in this ax square plus bx plus c, it is a quadratic equation. Here what is the highest power of x? 2. So here we will get two solutions. If you take the equation ax cube, it is not, in fact it is not a quadratic equation. I am just giving you an example. Ax cube plus bx square plus cx plus d is equal to 0. This is any equation. Then here highest power of x is 3. Therefore it will be having 3 solutions. That means you will get 3 values for x. Remember this. So it is a quadratic equation. The order of this equation is called 2, and here the order of the equation is 3. If the highest power of the power of x is 4, then order is called 4. That way. Okay. Yes. So this is how we solve quadratic equation using the formula. Then the next method is solving the problem for solving the quadratic equation by graphical method. So here what we do, here one more example is given. X square plus x minus 5 is equal to 0. The factors of x square plus x minus 5 are x plus 3. I think it needs correction. It is x square plus x, it should be minus 6. Please make correction. X square plus x minus 6 equal to 0. Then its factor will be x plus 3 and x minus 2. Okay. So this equation can be solved by graphical method. In graphical method what we do, we take y is equal to x square plus x minus 5. Then we give different values to x. See, we take y is equal to x square plus x minus 5. Then we make two columns. You have already learned how to draw the graphs, right? You make two columns, x and y. Here we give different values to x, like 0, 1, 2, and we find the corresponding values of y. But here we give both positive and negative values, 0, plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, so on. Then we give minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, that way. Then we find the corresponding values of y. Then we plot the graph. We plot the graph of x versus y. Then we get the graph of this nature. Okay. So the points here, this graph meets x-axis. Here the graph meets the x-axis at these 2 points. So these are the solutions of this equation. So here what is the value of x at this point and what is the value of x at this point, that gives you solution of this equation. This is how we solve quadratic equations by graphical method. So this is all about quadratic equations. Now we will move to the next concept, that is, okay, here one assignment, you take it as an assignment. S equal to ut plus half ut square. Already you have come across this equation in physics, isn't it? You have come across this equations of motion. There are 3 equations of motion. V is equal to u plus at, S equal to ut plus half at square, then v square minus u square equal to 2as. This is one of them. S equal to ut plus half at square. This is a quadratic equation. You can observe this is a quadratic equation in t. So t square, t is there, and this is a constant term. Therefore we can say it as a quadratic equation in t. So here some values of s u are given. S value is 50, u value is 20, and already you know the value of g. What is the value of g? G is acceleration due to gravity. The value of g is 9.8 meter per second square. You put this value also, then you find the value of t. Okay, this is homework or assignment. Okay, so you try it and let me know the answer. Okay, you tell me the answer in the comment section. Okay, let us move to the next concept, that is binomial theorem. This is also important concept in mathematics. Just you have to remember one formula. Okay, that formula is very helpful. Yes, here is the formula. What is that? 1 plus x raised to n is equal to 1 plus nx, or you can write 1 plus nx plus n into n minus 1 by 2 factorial into x square, n into n minus 2 by 3 factorial. I think here correction is required. It should be n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 divided by 3 factorial. Then x cube, this is correct. 1 plus x raised to n is equal to 1 plus nx, n into n minus 1 divided by 2 factorial x square plus n into n minus 1 n minus 2 divided by 3 factorial plus x cube. This way it continues. Next will be n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 into n minus 3 x raised to 4 divided by 4 factorial. Here what is the meaning of factorial? I hope you know this. Factorial. Otherwise I will tell you. Factorial means, suppose if n factorial, we write it ulta I. Ulta I means factorial. So n factorial is defined as n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 into n minus 3 and so on up to 1. We go on decreasing the value of n by 1 until we reach 1. So this product is called n factorial. So here 2 factorial means 2 into 1, 3 factorial means 3 into 2 into 1, 4 factorial means 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, that way. Okay, so it is very important formula, please remember this. 1 plus x raised to n is equal to 1 plus nx. So you observe this equation here, the power of x goes on increasing by 1. In the beginning here 1 means it is x raised to 0, x raised to 0, next x raised to 1, x raised to 3, x raised to 4, that way it will continue. Okay, so here one example is given. Expand 1 plus x raised to minus 2 using binomial theorem. So here if you compare this with this formula, here in place of n we have minus 2. So n is equal to minus 2 here. Therefore this becomes 1 plus minus 2x plus, you put the values of n here, then you simplify, and finally here x is very much smaller than 1, means x is very small compared to 1. Then we neglect higher powers of x. For example, if x is less than 1 means, if suppose it is 0.1 or 0.2, 0.34, whatever values. So if its power goes on increasing, 0.1 is 0.1, 0.2 is 0.001, 0.3 is 0.0001. That means as the power increases, its value becomes very small, very mere value. So therefore what we do, we neglect the higher powers of x if x is very much smaller than 1. So in this expression here, higher powers x square, x cube, we neglect all these terms, then we remain with only these two terms, 1 minus 2x. Therefore 1 plus x raised to minus 2 can be written as 1 minus 2x. This is very important result, you remember this, because we are going to use this in gravitation chapter. In gravitation chapter, while deriving the equation for acceleration due to gravity above the surface of the earth, there one step comes, there we use this formula. Okay, I think that is given here. Yes, let us see. Yes, it is given here. In the derivation, one of the intermediate step is this. G dash is equal to gr square by r square 1 plus h by r raised to square. Here r square gets cancelled. Then you will get g, and we take this term to the numerator. Therefore 1 plus h by r, this power becomes minus 2 here. Okay, now we have to expand this. We expand this 1 plus h by r raised to minus 2 using binomial theorem. Here instead of x we have h by r, that is the only difference. In the previous example, 1 plus x raised to minus 2 was there. You see this 1 plus x raised to minus 2, then if you neglect the higher power of the x, we get 1 minus 2x. So here in place of x we put h by r, then what will be the result? You can observe here, g dash equal to g 1 minus 2h by r, because h by r is very much smaller than 1. Okay, so you are going to learn this equation in PUC first year or class 11th. There we are using this to expand this term. We are making use of binomial theorem. So please remember this. Okay. Yes, this is about binomial theorem. Next one is introduction to logarithms. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಲಘುಗಣಕಗಳು ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಲಘುಗಣಕಗಳು ನೀವು ಕಲ್ತೀರಿ ಅಂತ ನನಗೆ ಅನಿಸಲ್ಲ. ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಲರ್ನ್ ದಿಸ್, ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಇನ್ PUC ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಆರ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ 11th. So let me explain some basic concepts about logarithms. Logarithm is nothing but it is alternate method of expressing the exponential terms. You see the definition here. Yes, logarithms developed to simplify complex arithmetic calculations, transform multiplicative processes into additive ones. Okay, using logarithms what we can do, we can convert multiplications into additions. I will show you an example. See, multiply this number and this number, both are very big numbers, right? Multiplying these two numbers is very difficult, but you can addition of these two numbers is easier, right? So using logarithms we convert this multiplication into addition, thereby our arithmetic calculation becomes easy. So that is the advantage of logarithms. So when we were in PUC or class 11th, we were not supposed to use calculator in the practicals or in the exams. We had to do all the calculations using logarithms only. We were not allowed to use calculators, but now you students are very fortunate. You can use calculators now. Therefore there will be no need of these logarithms, but it is there in the syllabus. So let us learn some basic concepts about logarithms. Okay, so as I told you, logarithms will help us to simplify the arithmetic calculations. Okay, so now let us see what is the definition of logarithm. What is a logarithm? Definition of logarithm. Suppose if b raised to p is equal to n, this is a exponential term, right? b raised to p equal to n. So this we can write in another way here. Log of n to the base b is equal to p. We read it as log of n to base b is equal to p. See, in this exponential term, this b is base, right? Here also it is called base. P is exponential or it is exponent or power or index. Here b is called base, p is called power, exponent or index, and n is its value. Okay, if b raised to p equal to n, this can be written as log n is equal to p to the base n, or you can also read it as log to the base b of n is equal to p. You will see one example here. The first and perhaps the most important step in understanding logarithms is to realize that they always relate back to exponential equations. The first and perhaps the most important step in understanding logarithms is to realize that they always relate back. So you have to remember this. Logarithms is to realize that they always relate back to exponential equations. That means logarithms are nothing but the alternate way of expressing the exponential equations. Okay, yes. Let us take one example here. 2 raised to 3 equal to 8. So how to write this in logarithm form? Yes, think over it. 2 raised to 3 equal to 8. Write in logarithm form. So here 2 is base. So we write it as log to the base 2 of 3 equal to 8. See here, log 8 to the base 2 is 3, and we read this as the log base 2 of 8 is 3. You can read it in two ways: log of 8 to the base 2 equal to 3, or log base 2 of 8 is 3. That is also correct. Yes. So you learn how to express this exponential term into logarithm. 2 raised to 3 equal to 8 can be written as log 8 to the base 2 equal to 3. So base comes here, the exponential value comes here, and the power comes here. Okay. Now we will learn some basic arithmetic operations of logarithms. See here, logarithm of m into n is equal to log m plus log n. So here m into n, it is multiplication, it is converted here into addition here. So by converting multiplications into addition, calculations become simpler, right? So similarly here m by n becomes log m minus log n. Similarly log of m raised to n becomes n into log m. So here base is e. This logarithms to the base e are called natural logarithms. Remember, logarithms to the base e are called natural logarithms. You remember these three equations: log mn equal to log m plus log n. That means logarithm of product of two numbers is equal to the sum of logarithms of the two numbers. Similarly, logarithm of m by n means logarithm of division of two numbers is equal to logarithm or difference of logarithms of the two numbers, and logarithm of exponential number is equal to the product of exponent and the base. So this is how these are important relations. Okay, now using this we do the calculations. Here one example is given. Yes, as I told you before, there are two systems of logarithms. One is natural logarithm and another one is common logarithm. Logarithms to base e are called natural logarithms. Here e is a constant and its value is 2.782. And the common logarithms means logarithm to the base 10 are called common logarithms. So natural logarithms can be converted into common logarithms. I will show you how to convert natural logarithms into common logarithms. Means base e can be converted into base 10. Here logarithm of n to the base e is there. We convert it into base 10. So to convert logarithm to base e to base 10, we have to multiply it by 2.3026. It is very important. You remember this. Okay. Many times we come across this in physics, chemistry, everywhere it comes. Therefore you remember this, how to convert natural logarithm into common logarithm. Logarithm to the base e is called natural logarithm and logarithm to the base 10 is called common logarithm. Here one example must be given. Yes, example is given. Work done during an isothermal process is W is equal to RT log of V2 by V1 to the base E. So you have to convert it into, it comes in physics and also in chemistry. You have to convert this into it is natural logarithm. To convert this into common logarithm, that is to the base 10, you have to multiply it by 2.3026. Very simple. So here we have done this. W is equal to, we have multiplied with 2.3026. W is equal to 2.3026 RT log V2 by V1 to the base 10, right? Okay. Next, yes, this is about logarithms. So calculations is not given actually. How to do multiplication, how to do division, how to find the values of exponential terms. That is not given, because nowadays for doing all these things we are using calculators. You are also allowed to use calculators in the exam also. Therefore there is no need to do the calculations of addition, multiplication using logarithms. Only you have to remember this concept, okay, how to convert natural logarithms into common logarithms. To convert natural logarithm into common logarithm, we have to multiply by a factor 2.3026. That you keep in your mind, okay. Next, we discuss about trigonometric ratios. Already you have learnt about these trigonometric ratios in your class 10th. Trigonometric ratios. What is trigonometry? It is tri means 3, gono means corners or angles, metry means measurement. So measurements of 3 angles. So measurement of 3 angles is trigonometry, okay. So in trigonometry, the basic thing is finding the angles of a triangle, okay. Yes. So there are 3 basic trigonometric ratios. They are, okay, trigonometry means triangle and measurements. Okay, triangle means 3-sided and it has 3 angles, 3 sides and 3 angles. So if you take a right angled triangle, ಲಂಬಕೋನ ತ್ರಿಭುಜ ಅಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ 90 ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಇರುವಂಥ ತ್ರಿಭುಜ. If you take a triangle with one right angle, that is one angle equal to 90 degree, then it is called a right angle triangle. In this right angle triangle, the side opposite to right angle, it will be the biggest side. It is called hypotenuse. We call this as hypotenuse. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕರ್ಣ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ, ಕರ್ಣ. ಮಹಾಭಾರತ ಕರ್ಣ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಲಂಬಕೋನದ ಕರ್ಣ. ಎಸ್, ದ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಪೋಸಿಟ್ ಟು 90 degree is called hypotenuse or karna, and this is called base or adjacent side, and this one is called, this is base or adjacent side, and this one is called opposite side. Okay, remember this. In right angle triangle, the biggest side or the side opposite to 90 degree is called hypotenuse. This one, the bottom side, is called base or adjacent side, and the other side is called opposite side. Okay, now we define the trigonometric ratios. As I told you, there are 3 basic trigonometric ratios. They are, yes, it is given here. It is right angle, it is hypotenuse, it is adjacent side, and this is opposite side. Okay, now how to define trigonometric functions. There are 3 types of trigonometric ratios or trigonometric functions. They are sine ratio, cosine ratio, and tangent ratio. These are these are nothing but these are the relation between sides and angles of a right angle triangle. Okay, there are 3 basic or 3 important trigonometric ratios. They are, first one is sine, S-I-N-E. Don't read it as sin, papa, sine. Actually it is sine. In short form we write it as sin. Sine theta is defined as opposite side divided by hypotenuse. If this is angle theta, then sine theta is opposite side, this one, divided by hypotenuse. Hypotenuse means just longest side. Remember this formula, sine theta is equal to opposite by hypotenuse. Similarly, next one is cosine. Cosine function. Cosine function is defined as, see, this is a relation between, as I told you, these trigonometric functions are nothing but relationships between sides of a triangle and angle. See, theta is angle and these are two sides of the triangle. Okay, next we will define a relation between this same angle and other sides, that is cosine theta. So cosine theta, in short we write it as cos theta. Cos theta is defined as adjacent by hypotenuse. See, sin theta is opposite by hypotenuse, this one is adjacent by hypotenuse. Then next one, tangent theta, tangent ratio. We, in short we write it as tan theta. Tan theta is equal to opposite by adjacent. Okay, so remember these three. Okay, these are basic trigonometric functions. If you remember these three, then there are another three, you can remember them easily. Sin theta is opposite by hypotenuse, cos theta is adjacent by hypotenuse, tan theta is opposite by adjacent. Or if you remember sin and cos, tan can be easily remembered, because tan theta is equal to, you remember this, tan theta is equal to sin theta by cos theta. Sin theta by cos theta. This is the relation between sin, cos and tan. Remember this, tan theta is equal to sin theta by cos theta. If you know sin theta is what? Opposite by hypotenuse, right? Divided by, what is cos? It is adjacent by hypotenuse. Now this hypotenuse gets cancelled, and what remains here? Opposite by adjacent. See, same here, right? So if you remember sin and cos, tan can be easily obtained. So remember, tan theta is equal to sin theta by cos theta. As I told you, there are three more trigonometric functions coming next. See, sin, cos and tan theta. Make sure that triangle is right angled. See, these functions or trigonometric ratios are applicable only and only for right angled triangle. Okay. Next, remaining three trigonometric ratios I told you, right? So we learnt sin, cos and tan. Now we have three more. They are cosec, sec and cot. Cosec, sec and cot. See, I will tell you an easy method. See, cosec is equal to 1 by sin theta. Cosec is 1 by sin theta. See, while watching this video, you keep a notebook and pen and write down these important formulas or equations. So cosec theta is equal to 1 by sin theta. But you know what is sin theta? Sin theta is opposite by hypotenuse. So if you take its reciprocal, it becomes hypotenuse by opposite. Therefore cosec theta is equal to hypotenuse by opposite. So if you remember only two, sin and cos, you can write all the 6 trigonometric functions. Okay. And sec is equal to 1 by cos. This sec is equal to 1 by cos theta. So you know what is cos theta. Cos theta is adjacent by hypotenuse. So in the denominator here, adjacent by hypotenuse. So when you take it to the numerator, it becomes inverted, right? Then what happens? You will get hypotenuse by adjacent. Therefore, sec theta is equal to hypotenuse by adjacent. Then the next one is cot theta. Cot theta is equal to 1 by tan theta. These are all inverse functions. First three are the basic functions. Sine, cos, tan. These are their invert functions. Okay, 1 by tan theta. Or you can also write, I told you that tan theta is equal to sine by cos theta. So 1 by tan theta means cos theta by tan theta. You can also write it as cos theta by tan theta. Okay. Yes. You write down all these equations. You have already learnt them. No problem. If you remember, it's okay. Otherwise, you write down once again. There is nothing wrong in writing more number of times, right? Okay. So these are 6 basic trigonometric functions: sine, cos, tan, cosec, sec, and cot. Remember all these 6 and their definitions. Yes, now one important. Now we come to allied angles. See, this is a quadrant. While drawing the graphs, you take x-axis, y-axis, right? Horizontal line is called x-axis and vertical line is called y-axis. Then here we get 4 quadrants. This is first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and fourth quadrant. So what is this? Why it is given here? See, in the first quadrant, remember this, in first quadrant all positive. That means the values of all trigonometric functions will be positive in the first quadrant. In the first quadrant means, see here we measure the angles starting from x-axis, and we always measure the angles in anti-clockwise direction. So from here to here it is 90 degree, right? 90 degree. So the values of all the trigonometric functions within this range 0 to 90 degree will be positive. Then here it will be more than 90 and less than 180. So this side it is 90 plus theta, more than 90, right? If the angle is more than 90, then it comes in the second quadrant. In the second quadrant, sine and cosec will be positive. Sine will be positive and naturally its reciprocal cosec is also positive. Except sine and cosec, remaining 4 are negative. Remember this. If angle is more than 90, then remaining all trigonometric functions have negative values. What are the remaining trigonometric functions except sine and cosec? Cos, sec, tan, cot. These will be having negative values. Then third quadrant. In the third quadrant, see here up to 90. Here 90 plus theta. Up to 90, this one will be 90. So this total angle will be 180. Now when we come to the third quadrant, it will be 180 plus theta, means more than 180. So if the angle is more than 180, then tan and cot will be positive. Remaining all the 4 trigonometric functions are negative. Similarly, if you come here, see it is 90, this is 90, 180, this is 90, 270. If it is more than 270, then cosine and sec are positive, remaining all are negative. Remember this. This quadrant all positive. You can remember it. I will tell you easy method to remember this. You remember it as A, S, T, C. You just remember A means first quadrant, S second, T third, C fourth. A means all positive. S means sine positive. Sine is positive means its reciprocal is cosec. So naturally cosec is also positive. So sine and cosec are positive. T means tan. If tan is positive, its reciprocal cot is also positive. Then C means cos. Cos is positive and its reciprocal sec is also positive. So you remember it as ASTC. Easy method. ASTC. Can you remember this? Yes, good. So let us move to the next concept. Here trigonometric values of trigonometric functions for some basic angles is given. Again, as I told you, here you remember only two, sine and cos. If you remember the values of sine and cos, I will tell you one more thing. No need to remember two. You remember only sine.